Hi guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today we're ranting, okay? What else is new? But the book that I am going to be ranting to y'all about today is The Roommate by Rosie Danan. This is about Clara, who is from a very high profile, very high society family, who is also eyeball deep in scandals. And so when she moves across the country to live with this guy who she's had a crush on for years, she finds out that she's not actually going to be staying with him because he's actually rented out his place, and so she's actually going to be staying with a random dude. And so she's like, oh, okay, you know, and this random guy named Josh happens to be employed in a very scandalous job. So it's all about them and their romance, right? The only trigger warning that I could think of was that there is a mention of a car crash. Maybe contemporary romances just aren't for me, which if that's so, word. But if I keep reading contemporary romances like this and like Throttled, I could definitely see in my near future me hating romance in general. A little disclaimer, I mean no hate whatsoever towards fans of this book, fans of this author, to the author. These are simply my opinions, okay? This video is going to be me ranting about this book and why I hated it so much, okay? This is gonna be ranty, this is gonna be spoilery. Before we start, I would really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links there that I have for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. And those links will be down there for you guys to interact with and to share. And then down in the comment section, let me know whether or not you guys agree with anything I say about this book, whether you disagree, whether you guys have even read this book in general, whether you like contemporary romance, and if not, what type of romance do you like? If you like romance at all. Okay, so with that being said, let's just get right on into it. The only pro that I have for this book is that it was quick to read, okay? It's 315 pages, at least the copy that I have, which, God bless. Just, you know? Pawn number 1. A little earwig named Josh, all right? I have a list of Joshes now in romance books because for whatever reason, there are just a lot of dicks being written named Josh, coincidentally, okay? Number 1 on this list is Josh Chen. So sorry to Twisted Hate. And then 2, sitting pretty at number 2, is Josh Connors, okay? Because you have got to be kidding me. Maybe not even 100 pages into the book, Clara and Josh, you know, after she's moved in, they get decently acquainted. And essentially Clara tells Josh that, yeah, no, I have never had an orgasm with a partner. And Josh, being a porn star, that is his employment, that is quote-unquote so scandalous, at least in regards to Clara's family, right? He's like, oh, okay, well here, strictly on a professional level, how about I help you with that? And Clara obviously agrees, right? And so they, you know, accomplish the task, right? And on page 67, I'm just gonna skip around and read y'all the really important parts, okay, in this little interaction. After a few minutes, as the sensation slowly began to fade, Josh cleared his throat and eased her thighs closed. But the passion in his touch was gone. His face had turned impassive, more like a man shutting the trunk of his car than a lover drawing out aftershocks. Well, that's done then. Hit number 1. Clara tried to gather her bearings. Right, Josh. Her and Josh. Oh dear, I'm sorry, she said automatically as she wiped her hand across her forehead, brushing hair that probably resembled a tumbleweed. Now listen, pause, okay? As someone who is a chronic apologizer, I completely get where she was coming from this, okay? She probably felt awkward. She was scared or at least worried that he felt awkward because she was feeling awkward, and she was probably blaming herself that he was feeling awkward. Okay, I get this. Josh stood up. Don't worry about it, Wheaton. That's Clara's last name. Don't worry about it, Wheaton. There's no need to be embarrassed. Think of it this way. This will make a great story when you go back to Connecticut. You can dine out on the time a porn star made me come story for at least a year. Hell, considering the circles you run in, maybe for the rest of your life.
Well, who the hell else are you talking to? Talking to me?
Where the hell did this come from? All right, hit number 2. And then the sucker punch, all right? The real knock to the jaw. Is Clara, obviously a little bit hurt, okay, like any regular person would be. She goes, right, Clara pulled out a loose thread on the sofa. I suppose for you that was just like work. And he goes, Don't be ridiculous. Josh backed toward his room. At work, I get paid.
Yo, Zen, get your boy, dog.
Just reading it all over again, I get, like there's dickish things that you say, but that is just downright mean. That is just mean. What is wrong with you? Why would you say that to somebody? Then his chapter comes on right afterwards. I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, we're gonna get justification for why he just said that to her. Why he just made her feel like literal human feces on the sidewalk. All right? Because, dude, there are sharks nicer to their prey than you. Okay? And his justification for the whole thing is essentially two things. One, quote unquote, he failed, which is dumb to me, okay, because you literally gave her an orgasm. You didn't fail, but okay. And then the second thing essentially sums up to him being put off by the fact that she was quiet for 15.2459 seconds afterwards. And I'm so sorry that she was quiet for 5 nanoseconds and she didn't immediately sit up after she had orgasmed and been like singing your praises. She literally told you that she had never had an orgasm with another person before. Maybe she was trying to gather her bearings. Maybe give her a little damn grace. So he's essentially given her the 1 and the 2 and the 3, right? And then the real kicker, essentially kicking her while she's down. He doesn't apologize. This dude doesn't apologize to her. Essentially when oh my goodness, when the situation arises for him to apologize, rightly so, he tries to apologize, right? And then Clara is like, no, you have nothing to apologize for, yada, 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 yada. I'm sitting here flabbergasted because what do you mean, girl? And his thing is immediately after she says, oh, okay, no, you don't have anything to apologize for, and then her reasoning for that, whatever. He goes, oh, well, okay, and then moves on. He lets her take the blame. Once more, I'm sitting there flabbergasted for the third time. I'm sitting there dumbstruck cubed, all right, at the interaction that I just witnessed, all right, and we're not even 100 pages into this book, all right? I hate him, fully.
I'm talking hate.
Every single time he breathed in Clara's direction, I wanted to strangle him. And another thing that made me really not like Josh, all right, is at one point, Clara is expressing to him, hey, I don't feel confident with my body. I don't feel sexy. You know, I don't feel confident in the fact that I don't have a lot of sexual experience. I feel like a prude. Telling him, hey, I feel vulnerable. Telling him a lot of vulnerable crap, right? His response is essentially, oh, baby, don't worry, your prudishness is sexy. We missed a point somewhere along the way. That's not the compliment that you think it is, okay? Which honestly bleeds into my other point as to why I really don't like Josh, all right? Anytime she comes up to him saying, I don't feel confident in my body, I don't feel like I'm beautiful, I don't feel like, you know, you would really want to stay with me. And his response is essentially, oh baby, don't worry, I would totally stay with you, you're sexy. Not how great of a person she is, not how smart she is with her literal doctorate. No. Just zeroes in on, oh no, why are you not confident in yourself? You have D-sized tits. Are you serious? Get the hell out of Victoria's Secret. Not to mention, the only constant thing that this douchebag talks about concerning Clara throughout his POVs is how big her boobs are and how hot that is to him. That's it. That's it. What eye color does she have, dude? Damn. And then my second con here, y'all, is Clara, okay? I tried so hard to like Clara. I try so hard in life, in my everyday life, to be a woman supporting women. But some of y'all bitches are very dumb. Clara is either annoying or she's just stupid, okay? First instance, what do you mean? You flew across the country for a dude you've had a crush on for 14 years with mementos from y'all's high school and middle school days that your plan was to quote unquote put around the house to put him in the mood, to essentially magic him into liking you, finally. I really hesitate calling people pathetic because you know how just some words, not even the definitions, just some words, the sound of them just sound harsh. You know what I mean? Plus with the definition of them, now it's just like, shit, dude, can you not be mean? You know, but like, that's pathetic. You've been hung up on this dude for 14 years and he's never once even ever given you a sign that he's reciprocated, and you moved across the country for this dude, not even buying a car. She also refers to Everett, all right, the crush, as the one who got away. Girl, you never had him to begin with. Which leads me to my second point, okay? She moves across the country for this dude who turns out to not actually be living with her, all right? And when he tells her that, oh yeah, no, I actually rented out my place, you're gonna be staying with this random dude that I found off of Craigslist. She's not scared. She's not bothered by this fact. Well, no, that's actually a lie. What she's bothered by is the fact that she's not going to be staying with her crush. She's not at all bothered by the fact that she's staying with a rando. Where is your sense of self-preservation, girl? So, okay, in order to talk about my third point, we need a little context, okay? Essentially, Clara and Josh get into this really interesting dynamic of they're friends with benefits, but they're not. And they're pining for each other, but they're not, you know what I mean? Whilst also getting into an agreement where they're both business partners alongside Josh's ex, another performer named Naomi. And they essentially make this plan to make a site, kind of like as an alternative for women to be able to find sexually explicit content more catered and garnered toward women, right? So Josh and Naomi are, you know, since they're like performers, right? They're going to be the ones, you know, in charge of casting, in charge of directing, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, Clara volunteers, okay? Here's where the third point comes in. She volunteers to fully finance, okay, this porn website. Meanwhile, she's also found a job working at this firm that's essentially working on a campaign, like an election campaign. So like I said, she is a PR person on this election team whilst fully funding this porn website, okay? And by fully funding, I obviously mean, you know, renting the camera equipment, hiring carpenters, makeup artists, everything of the sort, right? Leaving a very large paper trail, correct? So she is dumbstruck when somebody connects her and follows this, once again, very large paper trail from the porn website to the election campaign. And she loses her job. And she's kind of floundering at this. She's like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? Girl.
You just are not in touch with reality.
I'm pretty sure everybody at this point in time knows that the government and pornography are not very good friends, at least publicly. The government isn't even friendly with sex ed. Okay? I don't really know what you expected. Okay? Josh even told you, yeah, no, government officials don't really find porn that attractive to have on their campaign trails. Fourth point, when Clara finds out that Josh is an adult performer, okay, she decides to look up one of his videos. Okay, curiosity, right? And she doesn't want him to know, right? Understandable. So, in order to be discreet and secretive and covert in this Black Ops mission that she's got going on, she decides to watch his video in their shared living room. My fifth point is the one that honestly made me really, really annoyed with her. All right, and let me just say this before we really get into it. I fully understand that a lot of people, not just women, but a lot of women in general, are not comfortable with freely talking about sex or sexual acts or just sexual stuff in general in public. I completely understand that. Now, maybe this is because this is coming from someone who is comfortable talking about that stuff in public. Clara annoyed the shit out of me because this girl is essentially the character who cannot say anything sexual without blushing. All right, amped up to the nines. Okay, this girl essentially goes, oh my gosh, did you hear about her vagina? Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. It's so exaggerated. Wow. Once again, I completely understand you not being comfortable talking about sexually explicit stuff in public. Completely understand that. But you not being able to talk about anatomy, that's the kicker. All right, because not everything that deals with the human body, okay, is sexual. Like what? Do you blush when you put a tampon in? Are you serious? You are 27 years old. Grow up. And like I said, her purity is so exaggerated and just so just done to the nines, right? I mean, like it's just so, this is so amped up. This specific characteristic about her character is so amped up. She reads like she's 7 and not 27. And my 6th point about Clara, I'm speaking to all contemporary romance authors. Can we please, for the love of everything green and slowly disappearing on this earth, all right, please, if we're gonna write adult female main characters, can we please not have them stick their tongues out at people unironically? Do you think maybe, somehow, I know it's wild, do you think we could drop that?
This bullshit needs to stop now.
All right, so my 3rd con is just the faulty plot. All right, and this has to do more so with the pornography site in general. The site is catered towards women who are not being sexually satisfied in their relationships, basically as, quote, a kind of how-to website for partners, specifically for heterosexual partners, to be able to get their female partners off, right? And this may be nitpicky, the way that it's described. Do you remember how I just explained that essentially their website is like a how-to website for, you know, learning women's right? I remember when I read it, it came off to me as sex ed, but fun. Especially because the only female point of view that we get throughout this book is Clara's, right? And like I was saying with Clara's character, her point of view is so overly saturated with just these exaggerated points of purity and sexual naivete that it almost feels like this book is pushing a narrative of, yeah, no, women don't watch porn. Women don't listen to porn. So therefore, the porn that women should be watching is sex ed. Some women like pornography, dude. It feels infantilizing at the most, and at the very least, it feels insulting. Just the tiniest bit, okay? So overall, like I said, I might be overthinking this point, but because it's such a big part of the book, okay, it just feels, like I said, infantilizing of, I guess, just women's sexual appetites in general. I'm also not saying this to say that every woman watches porn, but to essentially boil it down to every woman doesn't watch porn. Or at least to boil it down to something that feels like this book is saying all women don't watch porn. Feels odd to me. Now, con number 4 is I just don't think this romance is healthy. All right, I don't think either one, Josh or Clara, should be together. I fully believe that their whole relationship is just sexual desire, and that's it. In my opinion, Clara should not be with Josh because of 3 reasons. 1, she is incredibly insecure about Josh being around other female adult performers, right? 2, she's incredibly insecure about Josh and whether or not he's gonna stay with her long term. In their 3rd act breakup, part of it is that she jumps to the conclusion. She's like, no, I'm not as pretty as them. I'm not as sexually experienced as them. You're not gonna stay with me a month later, you know what I mean? So we might as well not even try. And, you know, she's self-sabotaging, but that is a point where, you know, if you're insecure about that, getting into a relationship despite that without trying to work on it at all, that's not gonna be good in the long term, you know, which is what you're already worried about. And then number 3, I fully believe in the heart of my bottom, okay, that Clara just latched onto Josh because Everett, her crush of 14 years, wasn't there. And that's it. Meanwhile, I don't think Josh should be with Clara for also 3 reasons. 1, he resents her privileged background and he uses it against her. He actively holds it and uses it against her. All right, which bleeds into my second reason, okay? Whenever they get into arguments, he's just fucking mean. All right? See example, page 67. Or he's just extremely vindictive, all right? And essentially spits the fact that she had a comfy upbringing, dude. Right back at her every single time they have an argument, all right? And for this, we're gonna hold this number right here, all right? On page 277, during their 3rd act breakup. They're obviously in the middle of an argument. She's hurt. She says, I never should have slept with you. And he says, oh, now don't be like that. Josh's face had turned into a hard mask. We both know why you did it. So that years from now, when your rich, red-faced husband climbs on top of you under the covers, you can close your eyes and remember you writhing on my dick.
I remember thinking, I'm about to beat this bitch up.
The fact that he continuously brings that up and just uses it to essentially beat her down, screw you. And 3, I firmly believe, okay, that he only likes Clara because she has big boobs. And he's a tit man, okay? Which props. I don't think I've ever actually seen a tits man in the wild before, but word. Now, this last point that I have with their relationship is purely subjective, okay? But after the dreaded 3rd act breakup, they confess their feelings to one another over a live radio broadcast. Now, as someone who personally hates grand public displays of affection, this was torture. Okay? This shit right here, this was torture. Okay? Now, if you are somebody who personally finds that stuff beyond romantic, good for you. Okay, props, respect. For me, it's embarrassing. Now, I'm sure this was supposed to come off as really romantic, but as someone who personally hates that stuff, who does not find romance in that, this only came off, this confession over a live radio broadcast only came off to me as y'all airing your dirty laundry out for everybody to hear about. And who asked? The big turning point in this confession where it's like, oh my gosh, they're actually gonna do it. Clara says into the microphone, yeah, no, I don't care if people find out we have sex. Stop! Stop! I don't wanna know. I don't need to know that y'all have sex. I don't. I'm trying to drive to work. It was just so cringy to read. I hated it. 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 Did you know I hated it? Also, I skipped the smut scenes. You know I've checked out on a romance or on the romance between a couple if I've skipped the smut scenes, okay? Because girl, I don't care. Con number 5 is the invisible villains, all right? Throughout this book, we know, we are told, we are lectured, I should say, time and time again, that Clara's parents, Clara's family, they're terrifying. They're terrifyingly judgy. They're aristocratic. They're high society. They're highbrow. They're wealthy. They're very judgy political and business moguls, right? Imagine my surprise when we never see them. We never see them, not once. The only family member that we see of Clara's, that we actually see Clara interact with, is the other black sheep of the family that's left the family, Jill, all right? But we don't ever actually see these people that are causing the main conflict between Clara actively being with Josh, all right? We never see them. We never even see Clara interact with them. Very telling and not showing. And then we have the epilogue where it's essentially 2 years later when Josh and Clara have finally gotten together. It's 2 years later. They've gotten engaged. So I'm guessing then it was pretty damn easy, too. And y'all are already getting married. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like, so what? Does that mean that we actually really had nothing to worry about ever? Like, after all? Because if so, congratulations, you've just made Clara, throughout the entirety of the book, look like a fool. Because what was she so worried about? What were we supposed to be worried about? They were fine. And then the last con that I have, all right, is with the writing. The writing is just weird, all right? Half the time, these characters speak like they're from the 1950s, and then the other half, they speak like they're from the 2010s. Especially Clara, all right? I get it. Little Miss Nutcracker is supposed to be from the wealth. She's supposed to be highbrow. She's supposed to be very well educated and therefore very well articulated, right? This girl speaks at points like she is from the mothership, all right, and she is having her very first conversation with a human ever. There are cliche writing tactics in here that I would expect from a book written in maybe like the late 2000s, early 2010s. This book was written in 2020. One of the cliche writing tactics that this book uses is the dreaded he, she, they. Didn't mean to say that out loud. Y'all are neurotypical and pushing 30. And you're dead ass looking me in my eyes telling me with all the confidence that your spirit can possibly possess that you can't control what you say. Are you serious? The second cliche writing tactic that this book uses, that honestly I found a lot of contemporary romance books that I've read use, is that their characters try to quote unquote break the fourth wall, at least that's how it seems to me, by having their characters liken their relationship to some epic love story by saying some variation of, oh my gosh, this is our love story. Would we be the villains in our stories? Oh my gosh, will we have our happily ever after? Shut up. This book's most abhorrent example of that is when Clara is trying to get more comfortable with driving because she's terrified of it. So Josh volunteers to essentially sit in the passenger seat while she drives, right? To keep her company and to keep her focused. And when she's talking about, you know, driving and about, you know, I think she's like saying, you know, thank you for doing this or whatever. He like gets awkward or something and he says, unironically, no one's ever asked me to be the good guy. Shut up. The other thing, okay, the other cliche writing tactic is just the melodramatics of the love confessions. She took me out, all right, when Clara said something along the lines of, yeah, no, our love is like freedom. Calm down, girl. You are not Harriet Tubman. This is not the Underground Railroad. I gave The Roommate 1 star. I can't, okay? I actually started skimming the last 100 pages just to get it over with, all right? Maybe contemporary romance just isn't for me. So you guys, that was my rant review of The Roommate, all right? I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that if you like this book to keep on loving it, okay? So you guys, with that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe, and I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.